Hello, welcome to the Armenian News Network Groong, a week in review for the week of January 12, 2025. This is our first podcast of the year. We skipped the previous week. And today we'll be talking with Tevan Poghosyan, former MP and Nagorno-Karabakh Public Affairs Office Director in Washington, D.C. But first, some points. First of all, again, Happy New Year. And we
Happy
wish
New Year.
everyone can have a great 2025. We started the show in July 2020, so this is now our 4.5-year mark. Little did we know that we're going to experience so much turbulence in those 4.5 years, but we'll continue to bring these interesting discussions as we complete our fifth year in 2025 and go beyond. For our listeners, thank you for your continued audience. You can support us. Just mentioning that you can support us through Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. All that you need to know is on podcasts.groong.org/donate. You're welcome to become a sustaining member, and if you can, we'd really appreciate it. And not everyone can, so for you, we have a special request. Please consider commenting, liking, and sharing our shows so that people can discover us. Okay, on with the show.
All right. Well, hello, Tevan. Welcome.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me today. My greetings to with the all seasons holidays, past Christmas, New Year. It's new hopes, but we'll see what is reality.
We share those hopes. Tevan, we decided to start the show on the global stage, and then we'll zoom into Armenian affairs. So in less than a week, today is the 14th, Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States, and the inauguration comes amidst global uncertainty. There are many things going on right now, many questions on the table. Will Trump be able to keep his promise and stop the fighting in Ukraine? How is he going to deal with Israel's genocide in Gaza and its war in Lebanon and Syria? What are his policies towards Iran? What's the potential for escalation there? And that certainly can bring us back to Armenia. We know, for example, people like Zelensky were not even invited to the inauguration, although Trump said that if the guy wants really to attend, he'll figure something out for him. And Trump has promised, of course, to solve the Ukraine problem in one day after he takes office. Let's start with Ukraine then. How do you see Trump's platform affecting global developments?
Immediately as you said it, how Trump's going to deal with some issues. I remember 2020, I think end of October, in one of the pre-election campaign speeches, Trump promised in one day to stop Azerbaijani aggression in Nagorno-Karabakh Republic. It says that it's a one-day matter. I will deal as ceasefire. And then one day we heard that with the support of State Secretary from United States, there was a deal on ceasefire between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And that ceasefire continues maybe some 10 seconds, 20 seconds, I don't know, even maybe 1 minute. Now, whenever people is really hoping or trying to say that we will do like this, it doesn't matter that it would happen. I think on that regard, we will be seeing that it wouldn't be so easy immediately to come and say that, guys, now stop, no fight here, no fight here, no fight here, because any war is developing from personal to the national revenge, retaliation issues. There are so many dirty business links going on, and that's why I wouldn't be thinking that everything would just go simply and everything would stop in a one-day time.
Do you think that a meeting between Trump and Putin will materialize? Both leaders have indicated some willingness to meet.
Yeah, definitely. For both of them, they are really would be interested how the next 4 years would be the processes, because I believe that when the Biden came to the office, there was also ideas to meet with Putin, have discussions. And it's traditional, and specifically Trump is a business-oriented person. And that's why definitely there'll be a meeting, because I think in reality for Trump, issue is not the Ukraine and Russia. Whenever you have been listing the conflicts that Ukraine, Syria, Gaza, Lebanon, and so on, Iran, you forget to mention another country, which I think would be maybe not the open fire conflict, but it will be financial conflict, it will be informational conflict, it will be economic conflict, and it's China. And as I reading how the Trump appointing the people, how the Trump is going to run, there will be two very antagonistic policies from the United States administration, both related towards our part. One would be do everything against Iran, and the second, do everything against China.
There's another leader, Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, who has not been invited to Trump's inauguration.
Asbed, correction. I think he may be invited, but he's not attending.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, that certainly has to do with the fact that he has been charged as a war criminal by the International Court, and there's an arrest warrant for him.
I don't think so that he's not traveling to United States because of any international court decision. You know, there is also another court decision related to, again, Nagorno-Karabakh conflict and on the opening up the borders, and who is been caring about this. That's why I don't think so that United States would allow that its strategic ally leader, specifically there's a personal links between Trump and Netanyahu with the previous kind of a being both in offices, activities and so on. And I think there's another matters of the issues related there.
There are reports actually that the relationship between Trump and Netanyahu is not problem-free. There are a lot of issues, and that may have started actually when Trump shared a post on social media from Jeffrey Sachs, who's been on our show, calling Netanyahu a, quote, deep, dark son of a bitch.
In reality, I think it's a matter of who would be listening to me much more carefully. Maybe Netanyahu and Trump in their previous discussions, Trump asking for something, Netanyahu didn't deliver. And that's why, unfortunately, it's developed a situation that, like on January 20, after immediately getting to office and making this hoax, all issues in the world will be changed. No, it wouldn't be like that. But definitely Trump's administration, little by little, would be trying to get to the situation, to understand. Even the Trump said that I'm going to meet with the Putin, but it's requiring one thing for me to get to the office, and it's some time. At some time, it's not 6 days simply. Because I do believe that there will be some months of preparation, some months of activities, of policies, and something like this. And only after that, the processes will go. The only one thing that they don't have also much free time to take that. If traditionally any government is allowed to have 100 days for fully understand how the office is working, I think now the time would be much less, maybe 1 month. But after 1 month, definitely new developments taking place. And I think based on this, there'll be definitely a lot of trade-offs. As today's Putin assistant Narishin said that for the Ukraine negotiation, we don't need the West. We need only United States. And it will be definitely Russia-United States trade-off on how they will be making decisions and how this stuff will go. But I do believe that in Trump and Putin discussions, it wouldn't be only Ukraine. It will be the whole world. That's why maybe a lot of issues. Lavrov makes today's statement saying that we have been speaking with Syrian Kurds, explaining that guys don't dream about your statehoodness because there is other countries with their issues and so on. And I believe that we'll be seeing a lot of fast changes, which very difficult to predict, or to say that let's put a scenario and it will definitely coming up to the life. It will be always various scenarios developing with a lot of spontaneous elements coming. We have seen the changes in the EU also. A new political force is coming to the power in the EU, and many of them speaking in totally different language than the previous EU authorities. How it will be internal divisions, internal trade-offs, or it will be also on external level. Speech of the NATO General Secretary, who has been saying that, guys, or we now need to understand how we'll be increasing our military budgets, or we need to increase the budget for education and start to learn Russian language, which meaning that a lot of changes on these issues will be coming, and it will be just simply let me come to on the hill, make swearing, make some speech, and next day everything would be.
If I may just, do you see any evidence? I mean, we obviously can speculate as much as we want, but what we have seen so far, does that give you confidence that there might be some shred of political will on behalf of Trump to get some of his promises in? So whether related to Ukraine or Gaza. I mean, I guess he still has to fight the deep state, but at least from his own perspective, from his own team, do you see any evidence?
Definitely. See, like there is a one unique particularities of the U.S. Democracy, but you can put them in a brackets. You can use this part. Pre-election statements, really the strategies which presidents trying to keep for while they are in office. That's why they would be trying to do something, but how it would be happening, or would this be purely in a good relationship? See, like you promised to fight terrorism. Definitely you have been trying to do something. But on the way of this fighting terrorism, you've once taken fully Afghanistan, and on the same way, during the process of fighting terrorism, United States run from Afghanistan. You're saying we're trying to promote democracy, but when there's interest coming for the oil, Saudi Arabia is your best friend. Azerbaijan is your best friend. Turkey is your best friend. When there's no any even kind of a small flower of democracy exists. You're doing a statement, you're doing something. That's why definitely he will be trying to do everything. Definitely he would be trying to get all his promises. Stop the war. Maybe not in one day, in 1 month, but what would be the cost of it? Because one thing which is, for example, if we're talking about the Russia and Ukraine war, do you think that there will be any winner? No, because antagonism, animosity, which is developed in the nations and in generations of between two nations, it will take another 100 years. That's why it won't be just, let's consider the shooting stop, the peace has come.
Tevan, there's one aspect of the war in the Middle East, the conflict in the Middle East, that is very interesting for us. If Trump is actually able to rein in the Israeli hardliners and bring some kind of an agreement to the Middle East, is this going to reduce tensions between the United States and Iran, or is it going to help America focus on Iran and then China?
Oh, you're asking the question about this. Many people has been saying that Iran is fully lost, it's lost everything and so on. Are you sure? Or maybe it has been a really Iranian idea to get rid of some expensive proxies and try to concentrate on totally different things. Iran perfectly knows that Israel would be still fighting. Iran perfectly knows that the all others' interest is much more to have a weak Iran for what? To control the gas and oil and something like this. Like what is the real interest for people sitting in Washington, D.C., or in Moscow, or in Brussels, to have a weak Iran? Like I don't, Iran could be strong. Iran never attacked its neighbors. Iran never destroyed historical monuments, national monuments. Iran has kind of a allowing that all national minorities that exist there. But yes, they've never been a super democratic country. But there's a lot of issues on the values has been totally different. Now, which meaning that some interests are there. And some interests are there is there. Now, I don't know. For Iran, it's perfectly issues that Trump was one who came and canceled nuclear deal.
Right.
Now, what would be the next step? In the previous years, has Iran get further from being able to obtain nuclear technology, or it's have a progress? Maybe it's time. That's why I'm saying that everything would be coming there on the deals. And let's not forget that just on January 17, which has been declared today, there will be a sign of strategic cooperation, partnership, and I don't know, something like this between Iran and Russia on the security issues, military, and something like that.
Do you know any of the specifics of that deal by any chance?
No, not what is on the paper, but it definitely about keeping up the interest for both of Russia and Iran, trying to understand that in the region there is a development of new hegemonic power like Turkey or something like this, and they now need to deal on the regional level, plus on the international level.
Now coming to Armenia, it looks like 2025 is going to be a year of candidness for the dictator in Baku, because why pretend to negotiate when you can, issue direct threats to your neighbor, and everyone just is okay with that. The latest installment of Aliyev's warmongering came as early as January 2nd, when he was giving an interview to journalists in media in Azerbaijan. And this time he presented a more complete assortment, I would say, of threats as a New Year's gift to Armenians and to his friend Pashinyan. First of all, he started by calling Armenia a fascist state, and he vowed to destroy this so-called Armenian fascism if the leadership of Armenia failed to do it first before him. On the issue of demilitarization, he said that Armenia must not be armed, and any weapons already delivered to Armenia by external countries must be returned. And he again said that the so-called Zangezur corridor will be opened by hook or by crook. He also repeated many of the other threats that he does so far. I just wanted to isolate those three specifically. And Pashinyan, in his turn, did his best to imitate Mother Teresa. And he said that he would not respond in kind, and he would continue on his so-called peace agenda, or the crossroads of peace, or whatever else it's called nowadays. In reality, efforts that have been achieving zero results to date. I think that there's a point of discussion where we continue to present this exchange between Pashinyan and Aliyev as a negotiations, whereas in reality, that's the wrong approach. I think we keep saying the negotiations have stalled, and I'm sick and tired of doing that, because it's not negotiations. It's
Hovik, can I interject for 1 second? I think we should tell our listeners some of the extreme violent agreements that we are having in the background, which don't come on the air usually. We used to call those things negotiations, and at some point on our show, we made the decision, these are not negotiations. We'll just call them, they're exchanges, so we'll call them talks. And at this point, we can hardly even call them talks, right? Because there's a new MO where Aliyev goes on his media and basically lists all the deliverables for Pashinyan. And Pashinyan gets on the podium in the parliament and says what he's going to be doing, or talks in an interview to, let's say Armen Press or Hawan. and says what he's working on right now and what his next deliverable is. This is not even a talk.
Yeah.
This is basically a command and response, a master and slave kind of a relationship.
And it's not even that. I think it's designed to slowly desensitize the Armenian public and get them to accept these conditions. But I
Right.
wanted to hear Tevan's perspective. Where do things stand today, Tevan? I didn't even talk about the fact that they both had to dissolve the OSCE Minsk group, one of the remaining things that supposedly they hadn't agreed upon a week ago, and now it seems like they're in agreement that the OSCE Minsk group will be dissolved. So yeah, what is your take on, I don't know what to call them, the propaganda sessions, the threats by Aliyev and Pashinyan to the people of Armenia?
I think, first of all, we need to really take into consideration when we're saying Aliyev and Pashinyan, what we're meaning by this. There's a winner and there is a loser. Definitely on winner-loser stuff, if there is this asymmetry is not corrected, it's not negotiation. It's dictating sometimes. But is there any issues on which they agreed and negotiated? Yes. And that issues, I think, the process of delivery stuff. Like, it's not issue that Aliyev would be saying that you need to do constitutional changes, and the guy saying that, no, I'm not going to do it. Okay, but, because I need to deliver it, that it will be much easy. Please, one day say, we will come and we'll beat you again. And I will try to sell it like this. If it's not working like this, we will do another one. And something else. I think there is a internal discussion between two of them. There is a lot of process delivery negotiations and agreements on which day who would say what and who would reply and what would be doing. And the other stuff is just simply a nice Hollywood movie which is taking place. The issue of the following, guys, I need to keep up the office, because if not me, then everything would be totally different. And I know much better how to do all your stuff what you dreaming. But for that, I need to be in office. And to keep up in office, I need to do some orchestrated issues. Whenever there is nothing, I will cook some meal. I will ride the bicycle and do something like this, because nothing is there for me to do the stuff. In general, this is what is really going on. But in other side is just Aliyev, who is also having, I think, demands from all his kind of a bosses, or the ones who help him to win the war. And this is also to be ready to, for example, attack Iran. But to delay these issues, for him, is also needed that Armenia not do everything in a one-day time, because he need to say that, see, like we are in a process of peace negotiation and blah, blah, like this. If I will start now, everything will collapse and so on. And for Pashinyan, it's also in its personal interest that it's still keeping up.
We have been criticized in the comments and in general by some that we are too nationalistic. And in fact, when we don't agree with Pashinyan, he's doing his best.
Hovik, what does it mean too nationalistic, double nationalistic, triple nationalistic? Is Americans nationalistic? No, all nations nationalistic. That's why the one who is criticizing, tell him how many times he write or raise his voice when people in Armenia and in Nagorno-Karabakh has been dying, kids, women.
Let me present it in a different way. Because I do agree, but we keep talking about, for instance, in the case of Ukraine, we're saying that Zelensky has sent all these men to their deaths, and the best thing he can do is to stop the fighting now. That same argument is being brought against us, who say that we have no means to fight Aliyev, and we must do everything to prevent another war.
And that's why we've been saying that, guys, why the war hasn't been stopped on October 10 in Moscow, when still, as remember, October 10, let's not forget, October 9,
2020,
10,
right.
2020, one more than 24-hour negotiation in Moscow between Zorab Natsakanyan, Lavrov, and Azerbaijani minister, ceasefire agreement, why it's not stopped. Then October 19, then American ceasefire. Listen, anytime, whenever we trying to say that it stopped, it really should stop. Why it started even? Why you not negotiating?
But that's all water under the bridge. I mean, that's all like, so
we could be prosecuting the war forever.
He was a traitor. Let's say, yeah. So let's say that, I mean, the people who have goodwill against for Pashinyan, they say, fine, you know, something happened. They don't want to believe that Pashinyan was directly responsible. But they're saying that.
Let me respond.
But they're saying this is the best we have right now. Let me just finish. Let me just finish. They're saying, they're saying that this is, you know, right now, what Pashinyan is doing, we can't do better. So address that argument for me. I'm sorry for playing this devil's advocate position.
No, perfect. But I've been answering to this. It may be in a different way. Tell me the result of that policy. Losing Armenia?
We only have like a couple hundred deaths instead of more like thousands of deaths.
We also have hundreds of square kilometers of our own country occupied right now. There's living under threat of further invasion and loss. How long can you just basically say, okay, now let's give another concession?
Hovik, this is my point. Ask that people, the result of that policy, no Armenia. The result of fight for your nation, maybe some Armenia. Now, which is a big loss? No Armenia or some Armenia? Can we look on the map and compare if it's not on the map in existence or in logic? Because whatever that policy is said, result of this is no Armenia. Now, if guys, you don't need that Armenia, instead of not supporting the ones who wish to keep Armenia, leave it. What I can say, but like you know, if there is someone is trying to rape you, instead of trying to fight and defend yourself, relax and enjoy. Is this your advice? Your or the one who is advising? Maybe he's liking when his Turks raping them. I don't think so that it's issue with me or not. That's why I'm ready to fight now. If someone would come next day from Mexico or Canada and said that, let me took I don't know, Washington State, Seattle, from Vancouver, would Americans say that, oh, okay, let's no loss? Guess who is in a much more respect? Afghanistan that exists, Switzerland that is ready to fight, the same Israel. See, like the same point when people are raising about Ukraine and Russia or Armenia and Azerbaijan, always bring them example of Israel and Gaza. See how they're changing 180% immediately. But it's the same situation. That's why I'm saying that, yes, perfectly understanding, guys. You can always tell me nice point, let's stop, let's do, but tell me the results. Show me the result. As I see now, the results have only the ones who have been ready to defend their country. And the fight and the defense of your country, if you need for that to go to the war, it's not just simply this issue. Do you think that 5,000 lives that we lost is just simply has been for nothing? No, for today's Armenia that exists, but for the future of their kids. All other issues is just if you're respecting that what they guys done.
So having asked that provocative question, I also want to say that I fully agree with you. I just wanted to raise that question because it frequently gets in the comments.
But this is the point, guys. I'm always telling them, guys, if we will be resisting and not allowing to capture Mary, or next day we will just simply give Mary. if memory is not ours, and no one has died, isn't it the same feeling of loss? Is this a winning? We are now feeling as winner that 120,000 people has been executed as a genocide and ethnic cleansing? But for that 120,000 people being able to move kind of a fleet from their houses, homes, and homeland to other places, we have on the same day more than 1,000 Karabakhi Armenians who fight and get this day for one day. It wouldn't be the simply just for nothing. If no, we will not have that situation. Now, isn't it loose or not the loose? The same on the other part. In Kirans, no one has been kind of a die. But how many Armenians start to hate each other?
Yeah.
And where is this land?
Speaking of Kirans, actually, Aliyev announced that the next round of the meetings on the border commissions will be held sometime soon, I guess. And Pashinyan, as always, immediately confirmed, but not before, but only after Aliyev says. I want to remind our listeners that there are no maps on which these border decisions are being made. We were told that they would be based on the 1991 Alma-Ata Declaration, but again, there are no maps attached to that declaration. And we saw how in 2024, the Pashinyan regime gave away significant strategic points in Kirans, which essentially allow Azerbaijan to monitor every single point of our north and south communication.
Hovik, can I interject for 1 second? The agreement also says that they will be based on the 1991 Alma-Ata declarations unless the sides agree otherwise. Now tell me, has there been a situation where Aliyev has demanded something and Pashinyan has said no?
In reality, there is no Alma-Ata agreement. It's always their decision. It's just simply messaging. Again, I'm saying that. Say like Aliyev said that I wish like this. Pashinyan agreed, and they negotiating on the process how to deliver. That's why when Aliyev saying that we will have in January meeting, Pashinyan is openly saying that yes, meeting should be there. And if you will be very much following his part, he already mentioned kind of saying that, guys, coffee in Jermuk is much expensive than in Italy. Why is Jermuk like this? That's why people don't going to Jermuk. And that's why not amazed if next part of the so-called demarcation or something like this would be in the Germans.
Tevan, amidst all these escalated threats from Aliyev, Iran's Ali Akbar Ahmadian, the secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, visited both Azerbaijan first and then Armenia this past week. Based on public statements, it seems that regional transportation corridors were at least one of the topics that were discussed. What do you see was the reason for Ahmadian's visit? Is Iran trying to prevent more Azerbaijani attacks, other purposes?
No, Iran would be always visiting any place only coming from their own interest. And I think one of the biggest problem is not clear understanding where is Armenian policy and where is Azerbaijani policy, and between these issues, where and how they can defend the Iranian interest. It has been a really investigative meeting for them. Try to speak, to understand, to build up their scenarios and so on. Why they need these scenarios? Because in 2 days' time, they'll be signing some discussion. Perfectly understand also how the two so-called players, one Azerbaijan, which is also a Turkey, and another one Armenia, which is nothing. And as a puppet who is simply fulfilling Turkish Azerbaijani policy, how they will be defending that, Iran would understand what to do for them. And this kind of visits always accept on this investigation issue.
Do you think they are essentially resetting their positions in the South Caucasus? They're researching how to reposition themselves in the wake of Syria and incoming Trump administration?
Not only Syria, not only Trump, EU advisors, Russia situation, Azerbaijani all the other stuff. All of them are should be taken into account. Also on the Trump administration to understand how Armenia will be behaving and where it will be going. Because sometimes we always try to defend our interest, and whenever Americans has been telling us that you need to stop your cooperation with Iran, we have been presenting that economically it's not possible. Maybe they need another understanding what will be the position of all.
I should mention the other thing that it seems like every Iranian visit does not go by without Iranian officials complaining about the EU monitors on the borders of Armenia. Now, we know that it seems like in the case of EU monitors, the position of Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Iran align in that,
Russia. Let's not forget
Russia, of
about
course.
Russia.
Or is there a nuance here? Like, do you think that, I mean, Iran is forced to say those statements, but in reality, it's willing to tolerate the EU observers? Or
no, for Iran, is always issue is like maybe if there would be some friendly EU country representative, but because whenever you're saying EU, you can get the Canadians also participating, which is not EU but NATO. And let's not forget, Iran also the country with its own specific services who sometimes could obtain information much sooner that we publicly will know. If Iran is raising its issues, it's meaning that they have some back information by special services. When Russia raising issue, it means that they also have something there. When Azerbaijan and Turkey saying something, I think maybe they also know, and that's why Aliyev is trying to sell it. Maybe for Aliyev, it's nothing. Would that be EU monitors or not? He promised to even shoot them if it will not happen. But could Azerbaijan sell his pressure on it to Russia to say that I'm really good with you? See, I'm your really partner. You don't like EU monitors, Iran, you don't like your EU monitors. I'm also pushing for this. But in reality, when you speak in this, even EU monitors presented that they even one day before sending to Azerbaijan information, which part they would be monitoring. Which meaning that Azerbaijan knows even much earlier than me and you would ever know. Where is the EU monitor standing? Which part they are going? In which part they wouldn't be missing fully for all one day or something like this? Which meaning that there is also information communication with Azerbaijan on that. Why they complaining about this? This is giving me an idea that it's much more problematic issues for not for Aliyev really, but Aliyev trying to maximize and utilize the problems or demands from Russia and Iran to saying that I'm good guy and I'm your really partner in the region.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't mind, let's continue. I want to talk about, in the midst of all these complaints about EU monitors and Trump's inauguration, essentially approaching, pro-Westerners in Armenia continue to fan the flames of Armenia's integration with the West, including NATO, and Armenian officials are signaling more anti-Russian and pro-Western moves. So first, I want to talk about Arat Mirzoyan, who on January 8th, at a press conference, said that the US and Armenia are working on a strategic partnership agreement with more talks on this topic to be held soon. In fact, he is in Washington, D.C.
He already signed it.
Today.
Yeah, he already signed it?
Yes, he already signed it. I remember that there was a statement on Armenian side. Next day, media secretary from State Department said that there is no any process. So like two signatory, one saying that there is no process, another one is saying. Next day they are signing. I do believe, Hovik, that we have been hearing about the content of this document for the last few months is already. It's about to support on some economic issues, on some democracy issues, on some reforms, maybe also on energy kind of a related issue. But nothing else in reality. And I think there would be a document which is Biden administration would give as a present to today's authorities for trying to raise these issues. For Blinken, maybe it would be something in his CV, put it that he is the one who has been signed.
A parting blow.
This,
yeah.
Yeah, parting in the CV on the wall. I don't know, maybe in some nice this. It's like when we're putting our diplomas for big universities. But Trump administration, I think it will be one paper in one of the shelves would be collecting dust. But the moment when it would be needed for the Trump's position of the U.S. interest, they would take this document and use it. That's all.
So I should also mention that last week, or in the last 2 weeks, the Pashinyan government also approved a draft bill that will be sent to the parliament, which calls for Armenia to join the European Union.
Join the EU.
Wish, yeah, like I guess it's based on wishes. So if we pass a referendum to join Mars, or the Klingon Empire, I guess we can do that.
No. It's only for EU because we love Schengen visa.
Oh,
that's like, but I think there is two elements of this. One, let's look at what's going on with Georgia. That's going on with Ukraine and Moldova. Second, what is today has been said by one of the EU commissioners that, if Armenia will apply, we will definitely investigate that and kind of study this application. But one thing that I need to say that membership is not coming with the benefits only. It's coming also with the obligations. That's why in the whole life, for any international organizations, membership of anything or institutions, let me say, not only organizations, but institutional element. There is always three processes: political decision, technical process of membership, and again, political decision. You can have a political decision, okay, it's great. Both sides even say, like, okay, we're accepting that there is the part. One of the greatest example is Turkey. EU and Turkey has agreed that Turkey should become member of EU. But then it's going with the technical process of reforms. For Portugal, it took much less. For Turkey, it's taking 40 years, 50 years. I don't know how long, but it's not yet there. I don't know how long it would take for Armenia, or would Armenia even exist during that time, to be able to pass all these reform issues, standards and everything to be there. And even after that, if everything is accepted, everything is perfectly recognized, there is another need for political decision that EU would say that we are extending. I don't know even all this duration, would EU exist like EU, or would Armenia be like Armenia? Because we're all saying that we are in a third world and who knows what will be the world.
But even before that, we have Armenia has, at least on paper, is still a member of the CSTO. Armenia is a member of the Eurasian Economic Union.
Yeah.
Armenia attended the BRICS summit recently, which was harshly criticized by the West. So how compatible is the membership in EU with
it's not compatible.
These regional organizations? And so I just want to mention that for our listeners also, just because we have many listeners who are new, who don't know the region. 60% of Armenia's exports depend on Russia. And even economically, how does this make sense?
There is a solution, not the solution, but example over which we need to learn. I know, for example, there is a great example of not joining EU, but leaving. And for example, for Armenia, because as the same way as joining is political decision, technical process, and again political decision, leaving any organization is also very similar in these three processes. Political decision, technical process, whenever you're cleaning up all debts and everything, it's very much close to the, for example, someone is decided to fire you. In any way, making a final calculation of your salaries, any debts, whatever you oblige, whatever organization oblige, what kind of papers then. Sometimes they have an agreement where they need to pay you much more, something issues. You still can go to the court, defend your rights, and finally, it could be a result. Now, it would be the same similar elements with the CSTO. Now, Armenia didn't pay this year membership. In the moment when it's need to leave, do you think that it could be able to live without paying all the debts? Finally, we will be paying that money, even for this.
Right.
Okay, now, even if you're deciding to live with the CSTO, could someone remember Brexit? How much it cost to Britain and how much it cost to EU? How long it take for civilized, democratic, no conflict, no political conflict issues? And do you think that they still left? Whenever we're saying Great Britain and EU, we are not referring as a West. If you will ask a lot of people in the world which countries are members of EU, I think maybe in the United States, each second would say that first maybe Great Britain first. That's why I don't think that, why I'm saying that it's just simply, guys, it's not happening in a one day, let me like this and it will come. It's not issue of magic sticks or I don't know, some kind of a time machines flying from one say to another part. It's first political decision with all its political consequences, because in this case it's not my only political decision. When you're saying that I am leaving the country, I'm leaving that institution is also taking political decision. Or
right.
Then it's starting a technical whole processes. It could take years. That's why I'm saying that, guys, whenever people sitting and simply saying that, let me join some place, let me leave, they perfectly need to understand, are they ready? Now, you're speaking about the people, mainly, who making you argument that if we will not do something what is done by Azerbaijan, there will be a war. If they don't ready to defend their own country, leaving any international institution is kind of a war. You need to defend your country. If you're not ready to defend your country, you will not be there. Now, two examples. Brits have been ready to defend their country. EU has been ready. That's why Brexit worked. Georgia is ready to defend their country. EU is defending their points. That's why there is a war for integration. Georgia saying that, guys, whatever you have been saying to us, what is EU, is not whatever you're demanding from us.
And in both cases, it's been very painful.
Yeah, and in the cases, if you're considering that we need to do like this and only after that become EU membership, then there is a big issues. This is the part that, guys, you're saying that I'm not ready to defend my country against my historical enemy, then you are not ready to defend your country against of any this kind of, because the war is war, not only by shooting. It's economy, it's information, it's very difficult social situation, and finally it's loss of your country. Guys, if you are not now in the society which is not ready to defend their own country, that society would not move any place. That's why it doesn't matter who is telling something. For the reason of keeping the chair, today's government, next day could even say that we're returning back. No, we are not going. We're returning back, not we are going. It's always dependent on where they need to say something nice or not.
Tevan, I wanted to know, because Pashinyan has recently said that joining the EU can only be achieved through a referendum. Is there a hidden agenda behind trying to set up this national referendum Are there other things that he's going to plan on loading into the referendum that we are not hearing about?
Yes. First of all, I wouldn't be amazed if they would say that because of the referendum is endorsed that and people will go to Princeton, let's do election, let's do many times as like Erdogan has been doing. Few months before the real election starting, pre-election campaigns when no one is ready or something. That's why it could be pre-election, election elements done. Let's do it previously. Constitutional changes, if it's referendum. Let's people vote for everything because with small country and any election or referendum is an expensive process that will not be paying. See, the whole country should vote, not work for the day. It's a lot of paper to print out. It's a lot of monitors need to come and do the stuff. It's expensive issues, and that's why let's put the whole issues there that the people will not understand. It will be easy manipulation or something like that. That's why it's a manipulative tool that is now trying to build in to having for the various processes. He perfectly knows that no one is waiting for him in EU. He perfectly knows that he don't have a nation which is ready to defend themselves for the EU, all the difficult processes or something like this, if it's not. And he perfectly knows that it's the only topic for him to now to try to show that I am sovereign, I don't know, something like this, trying to talk about Armenian interest. I am the only one. All these processes is much more for him trying to escape the political statements of being fair and such. Traitor or something. I think, first of all, let's see how the EU would be changing after the election. How the Trump would be putting them, how the economy would be progressing, and what would be the real issues there. And then only after that we will see the real processes developing. But if for him, in his calculations, I do believe that it's used now to keeping a tool in his hand for if he need to do some pressure on opposition and all the processes and have support from the West to keep up in his office. He is building that tool, that scenario element.
Okay, well, let's wrap up our topics here. Let me ask each of you if there's a thought that you would like to share with our audience to start 2025 with. Hovik, let's go with you first.
Just two thoughts, maybe. So you asked for one, but I ended up spending the night, the New Year's Eve night at Yerablur. Since this is our first recording since then, I think it was a pretty important. I was wondering whether I should do this again this year, and just seeing the sea of people. Many are, friends of the heroes. Many are family, but it's a completely different experience that you would get in downtown Yerevan, in Haraparak. And I would continue to urge people to at least don't forget the sacrifices that Armenians have made on many different occasions for our country, and ask yourself if you are worth those sacrifices. I don't want to sort of burden you with that, but I think it's really important for all of us. So that's number one. And number two, I have been reading this book that I want to tell our listeners. It's called Provoked: How Washington Started a New Cold War with Russia and the Catastrophe in Ukraine by Scott Horton. It's pretty good. It's about 700 pages, but it's worth every single, I guess, molecule of paper it's printed on. And I would really love for Scott Horton to come on our show. So if you have a way for us to reach Scott Horton, if you know him, please let us know. And we'd love for him to come as a guest of our podcast to talk about his book.
Good call. Good call. Thanks, Hovik. Tevan, any thoughts you would like to share?
First of all, I would say that Artsakh. And on that regard, I would say that there was a big fire, and the nation didn't really stood to take that fight with that fire. And unfortunately, it didn't give us a lesson. And now there is a fire in LA. A lot of Armenians also have some losses. But again, as we can see, there is no unified Armenian stand for this. One thing which I would wish that for 2025 brought to Armenians is to really redevelop, refine, build up from the new national communicability, which meaning the pain of any Armenian, any place in the world would be felt by any Armenian in other place in the world in the same way, and we will be unified. Two examples just to show how we will be losing one after one if we will lose our national unity.
Okay, let's leave it there for today. Thank you, Tevan, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, well, that was our weekend review. Today, we're recording this on January 14, 2025. We've been talking with Tevan Poghosyan, who is the president of the International Center for Human Development. Mr. Poghosyan was a member of the parliament in the National Assembly of Armenia between 2012 and 2017 from the Heritage Party. From 1997 to 1999, he served as the Nagorno-Karabakh Public Affairs Office Director in Washington, D.C. For more information on everyone, all the participants in this show, check out the show notes at podcast.groong.org. And don't forget that you can support us. Go to our Patreon pages or our Buy Me a Coffee pages. You can get there from podcast.groong.org/donate. All right. Well, I'm Asbed Bedrossian.
And I'm Hovik Manucharyan.
Please find us on social media and support us everywhere you get your Armenian news. We'll talk to you next week.
And don't forget to comment on our YouTube videos to get us more traction with different people. Thank you very much. See you soon.